Welcome to the Barnard College Apiary. I'm John Snow, a professor in the biology department, and today I'm going to walk you through a hive inspection of one of our colonies. We have usually around 6 to 8 colonies at Barnard College, and each one of these boxes has approximately 50,000 bees in them. So usually I like to keep a rock on top to keep the lid from blowing away. And on a rooftop, I also like to keep the colonies strapped down. And the first thing I'm going to do before I open it is I'm going to light up my smoker, which I'll use to calm the bees. So this top box is actually a place that they're mostly storing nectar to make honey. And I'm going to remove that box so we can look at some of the frames from the lower box. So this is what a frame of bees looks like. And usually when I'm doing a hive inspection, I'm looking for indicators of health and disease. And mostly what I'm looking for is whether the queen is in the colony and is laying eggs to make new bees. So on this frame, I'll just bring it over a little closer so you can see what's on this frame. And if you look at this top area, this is capped honey. So this is honey that they've already processed, or nectar that they've processed into honey, and then they've capped it with wax to store it. And underneath that, you can see this slightly tan area. These are actually pupating baby bees. So these are bees that have grown from an egg to a larva into a pupa, and then they're capped during that process, or they're capped after larva to go into pupation, and they molt and become adult bees. So these are two of the kind of things that are stored in the cells that the bees make. And you can see down here empty cells where they've drawn out the wax into the characteristic shape. All the bees on this frame that I can see are worker bees. So these are most of the bees in the colony, and these are sterile female bees which do a lot of the jobs, most of the jobs in fact, except for making new bees. So I'm going to go and get another frame, and hopefully we'll be able to see some drones and maybe even the queen. Ooh. Okay, I'm coming over now because we've gotten really lucky, and that's the queen right there. So just sort of running along where my hive tool is pointing, that's the queen. So there's only one queen in each colony, in a typical colony, and her job is really just to make new bees. So she's going to lay the eggs to make the new bees, and that's her there. I'm also going to look on this frame to see if I can find any drones or eggs that she's laid. And I don't see any, but this is a really good sign in terms of a hive inspection that I've found the queen, and I know that this queen is in there. And then the other thing that I really want to know is whether she's actually laying eggs. And so I'm going to check for that now. It's another frame with lots of young bees that are capped. So this is a similar frame where you can see in the tan are bees that are pupating, and something that's a little harder to see on the edges here, there are some larvae inside some of these uncapped cells. And up at the top here I was actually able to find some eggs. So the queen lays eggs, and within a few days they hatch and start becoming larvae. That goes on for a few more days before they start pupation after capping the cells. So it's a little hard to see, but there are larvae down here, and there are eggs up here, and the eggs look like just little tiny rice grains at the bottom of the cell. So this tells me that we have a queen in here and that she's laying eggs, and we have lots of different immature stages of bees that are coming along to help strengthen this colony. So I was just going to see if I could find a drone, which is the third type of bee. Whereas workers are 99% of the bees, and the queen, there's usually one queen. There's usually somewhere around 500 drones in a colony. I haven't seen any yet. Their frequency really changes throughout the year and are especially high during the mating season. So it's possible to have colonies that don't really have any drones. So here's another frame where there's lots of larvae, and it may be a little easier to see the larvae here. So you can see the larvae in these cells, and then below them there are actually cells that have eggs in them. So again, this is a really good sign that the queen is doing her job, and her only job again is to mate with drones from other colonies, and then she spends the rest of her life in the colony. She doesn't leave, and she lays eggs, and she's able to lay something like 1,000 eggs a day, which is really impressive. And the other, the worker bees, one of their jobs is to help facilitate that process, to help take care of the queen and do things for her so that she can focus on egg laying. Another thing that I think is really interesting, the workers actually control the colony. So the workers kind of have a collective consciousness, if you will, where together they make the decisions of the colony. And so it's not passed down from the queen. Instead, the whole group makes decisions. So they help decide how many worker eggs she's laying, how many drone eggs, things like that. So I don't think we're going to see any drones today. But just to give you a recap, what drones do is they fly out and mate with queens from other colonies, and so that's really their only job. So we have two reproductive individuals, the female queen, which lays the eggs, and then the male drones, which mate with the queens. And then the vast majority of the bees, again, are worker bees. And they do all of the important jobs, like going out and foraging for nectar to make honey, for pollen to provide lipids and protein to young bees. They clean up the colony, they defend the colony, and they take care of the queen, among other things. So I'm pretty satisfied that this colony is doing really well. So I'm going to go ahead and close it up. So if I was doing a real hive inspection, I would probably go through all of the frames of the colony just to make sure that there were no signs of disease and check for some other factors. But if you decide to come up and do an in-person visit with me, we'll do something similar to this, and you'll be able to get in there a little closer and see the bees a little more up close and in person. And I would love to have you come visit. Thank you.